But there's some incredible storylines top to bottom. Jordan, what's compelling to you? What's the most interesting storylines?
Having covered the conference all year and marveled at it, the Big Ten's opportunity to end this 25-year title drought, and ironically, the team that may be the one to do it, the one that I'd like to do it, is the last champion they've had out of Big Ten in 2000, and that's now Tom Izzo's 2025 iteration with these Spartans, because they can win games in a variety of different ways. What everybody looked at was St. John's and said, well, what if they don't make shots? Can they still win games because they're a bad three-point shooting team? Michigan State's a bad three-point shooting team, and they've proven they can beat a high-quality team without knocking down shots consistently from the outside because of how they can guard, bend but don't break. They weren't great defending inside the arc, but they did just enough. They got out in transition when they needed to. There's not one star for that team. So the fact that this drought could end on a year where I kept saying, everyone loves the SEC, and I get it, but I'm watching this Big Ten, and I'm watching some of these teams, and they're going to have an opportunity. And now 4 teams in the Sweet 16, and Michigan State looking like they can beat anybody, and they haven't played their best ball yet. That's the coolest storyline, because conference has been so good, Nicole. They just haven't been able to produce that champion. It'd be nice to see that happen. How about you?
Yeah, and they've had teams in the championship game, including last year, and not been able to cut down the nets. I like that, because I also think that for as good as the SEC has been, I've been just hesitant about the idea of, hey, we've seen the Big Ten send a bunch of teams to this tournament, and then they beat up on each other so much in the regular season, they're not there at the very end. So I think it's possible that that could happen with the SEC as well. Most interesting storyline to me was, you and I were both in Providence, John Calipari taking this Arkansas team to the Sweet 16 in year one, where we were all just fascinated about, him kind of beating the posse out in Lexington, where people were just uncomfortable because they were having early exits in the tournament. So this is actually his first trip back to the Sweet 16 in 6 years. But also, they're 0-5 to start SEC play. They've had a rash of injuries. And for that team to get back to the Sweet 16 by having to go through Bill Self and Rick Pitino was incredible. I mean, if you're Calipari and you're not sure that you have a team that's good or cohesive or whatever, and it's year one in a new place, and you get to say you won your return to Rupp and you beat Rick Pitino and Bill Self this year, it's a good year. So I think that's super compelling. Plus, then I thought there was extra pressure on Kentucky to also get to the Sweet 16, which they did. So I just think that that's very compelling to me, is, one of the greatest coaches of all time, who is a polarizing figure in the sport, who's coming off a few down years at Kentucky and early upsets, taking Arkansas to the Sweet 16 in year one.
Nicole, co-signature on 10s. I would double back and say that is a massive storyline. Coach Cal getting to the second weekend here. I'll make no secret of it. Coach Cal is a friend. I know him well. I know his son Brad well. I don't know the rest of the family as well, but I know them. I know what this meant to that family.
They were crying. They were in tears.
You have relationships with coaches working in this business. I have a lot of close relationships with coaches. And I think what the common fan doesn't understand is the toll it takes on, forget the coach on the sidelines, the toll it takes on a daughter and Megan Calipari, the toll it takes on an Ellen Calipari, Coach Cal's wife. It didn't end well in Kentucky, and people can put the blame on Cal if they want to. That's fine. They can put it on Kentucky if they want. That's fine. I think there's a little bit on both. But what that does to your family when it gets that ugly, you just want to see your husband or your father be happy and still achieve. And so a lot of people thought he was being sent out to pasture to cash a check there at Arkansas, never to be heard from again. And he spent a lot of the weekend in Providence talking about they didn't quite put the nails in the coffin. I'm still here. And to see that emotion from his wife and his daughter coming out crying. This wasn't the national championship, but it just shows the hardship that this business can have on people that really don't see that side of it. Yeah, they make millions of dollars. Yeah, they live a great life. But that divorce from a place like Kentucky,
15
and again,
years.
There's blame on both sides. But for him to turn around, have success against a guy who just walked into that building and Coach Pitino, and there were tears of joy seeing him in Rupp, to what his reception in Coach Cal's was, to beat that guy, to show that he could still coach, to win with this roster. It was a really cool humane moment of this whole thing. And one of those stories, it's not going to get that angle covered, but to know that side of it, wow, it was awesome.
It was. And just I loved when he was talking about the different chapters. He's in a new chapter of his career. Rick Pitino is, maybe chapter 2 of his time at St. John's. And then to beat him like that, it was really it's an incredible storyline. And then Mark Pope to take Kentucky to the Sweet 16 in his year 1 as well.
And then Kevin Young,
in year 1
says, "Hey, everything's fine with Pope gone. I've got this thing humming." So it just goes to show you, coaches
chain of events.
Changes happen, but it's not like guys don't know how to coach anymore because it either doesn't work somewhere. There's a better opportunity. Like these guys are all getting here because they're great coaches. They put together great identities for their teams.